I just recently finished my second playthrough of Dragon Age the Veilguard, as it was one of my most anticipated RPGs of this year, despite the controversy and the noise and a lot of the drama that surrounded the game before its release. And I wanted to kind of sit here and talk about, is this game replayable, and if you've played it for a first time, is it worth jumping back in and playing the game again, whether it's on a harder or easier version or on a different class or specialization. And I want to preface that I am someone who did enjoy this game. A lot of people hated this game, granted for their own valid reasons, but I'm someone who played this game in full, put a lot of hours into it, and really enjoyed my first experience for what it was. I liked the combat, I liked the progression, I liked the gear system, I liked how you could combine all those and make a pretty damn cool and overpowered build. I loved the environments, I loved the scenery, I liked the battle on Weishaupt and the finale and certain story points within the game as well, but there was obviously some things that held it back for me as well. This is the dialogue, the writing, the characters, the companions, all of that held the game back for me, but I thought the other things overshadowed that for an overall a pretty good RPG. And no, this game's not for everybody, and that's okay. You don't have to hate this game, you don't have to love this game. These were just my personal honest opinions when finishing it. And when I replayed the game, I actually think I enjoyed it even more than on my first playthrough for a number of reasons, which I will get into. But before I do, thank you guys so much for almost 770 subscribers now. I really appreciate it. If you guys are new to the channel and you like gaming news and you like gaming reviews, specifically with action, adventure, and RPG games, and you like the video you see here, please like the video and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Now, let's get into the video. So getting into it real quick, I am using reused footage from my first playthrough. This is just because my capture card is a little busted and I couldn't record my second playthrough like I did my first. However, I want to go into some reasons why I think this game is very replayable and why I actually enjoyed my second playthrough better than my first playthrough. And the first big reason is I could skip a lot of what I didn't enjoy the first time through. Like I mentioned, I didn't like the character dialogue, I didn't really like the writing in the game, a lot of the companions and some of the companion quests, although I think the companion quests do make the companions in the game more enjoyable, but I had already played these, so I was able to skip past a lot of this stuff and just focus on what I enjoyed most about the game, which is the building of my specialization. It almost felt like an ARPG at times where I didn't really care about the story, so I was skipping past that, and I was just grinding for levels, grinding the different bosses, grinding the different shrines for more health and more skill points, and really focusing in on how can I make the most overpowered build for my specific character, which in this case was a warrior going into the Reaper specialization on Nightmare mode. And I had a ton of fun doing this because after the first time I played the game, I figured out where a lot of the different items were. I figured out how to grind a specific faction, so I was able to pick a faction that I knew had a really good unique item for my new specialization. I was able to get obviously increased reputation with that faction, and then once I got to the point where I was pretty damn strong, when you're starting to get really strong within like the levels of 20 to 30, then you can start doing the gate bosses. And these gate bosses, where you kill the gate boss, you go to the crossroads, and then you fight a bigger boss that is going to give you a unique item, I was able to just kind of grind that out and get the specific uniques that I needed for my character and for my new specialization to make as overpowered as possible. It was fun to kind of do some build and theory crafting with what is going to be best, and what I think the game does really well is you can refund your points at pretty much any time. You have all of your gear that is still being upgraded, or at least the rarity is still being upgraded, just by going around and finding the different chests within the game, so you can really mix and match whatever you want to try out different builds at any given time, which I really enjoy. I was also able to pick a companion not based on who I could stand in terms of like the dialogue and their character, but I was just picking the different companions based on what do they apply, what do they detonate, so I can really refine all of those different detonations with the different companions that I was using. Is this something that I'm going to need to detonate with a specific ability? Is this something that I'm going to utilize a companion to detonate after I use my ability to do increased damage? That was all kind of things that I was just trying to figure out on my second playthrough while I was crafting this build for my new warrior. But like I mentioned, this game is not for everybody, so if you're someone who likes tactical combat, for example, you're not going to like this game, you're not going to like replaying it. If you're someone who focuses their enjoyment in RPGs based on the characters and the dialogue and the writing and the different choices and consequences, then I also don't think the replayability of this game is very good, because I don't think the choices really mean too much when you're playing the game aside from the big ending. But that's the next thing I want to get to, because I also really enjoyed changing up the different endings of this game to make a whole different experience than I did the first time. Whether or not you like this game or not, the finale of this game is freaking incredible. Overall, one of the best finales in RPGs. All of your choices, all of the things you do throughout the game really culminate right here, depending on who's gonna live or die. Are you gonna get betrayed by somebody? Or at the end of the game, is your Inquisitor going to romance with Solus and then you're gonna be good to go? Or is something really bad going to happen? All of this kind of culminates at the end, and I think if you're somebody who is playing the game to change up the endings, I think it's a really fucking good time to go back and choose different companions to romance, choose different companions to finish their quests, or make heroes of the Veilguard to have different successful chances to see if they do something good in the final battle or they catastrophically fail. And all of this was really cool, again, to experience in terms of the culmination of the story as a whole. So overall, these are the two biggest reasons why I enjoyed replaying the game better than when I played it the first time. And no, I don't think I'm going to give it a higher score or increase my score based on the replay of the game, because I think a lot of people probably won't replay the game. And on top of this, I think the first impressions in your first playthrough really is the culminating factor on what you should rate a game and how much enjoyment you have of a game. And I just really enjoyed my second playthrough of the game because I could skip the parts that I didn't like and focus in on the stuff I really enjoyed about the game. But I do know there's another perspective here, and I've seen this in my comments, and I've seen this with just different people that I've talked to about Veilguard as a whole, where how can an RPG be good, specifically a BioWare RPG, if it doesn't have great companions and the dialogue and the writing isn't very good? And although yes, I understand this perspective, I don't think RPGs are only good because of the story or only good because of the companions. I think the other 50% of why RPGs are good, or at least personally why I love RPGs, are the combat, the game mechanics, the theory crafting with your build. I'm a huge ARPG fan, and if you play any ARPG like Path of Exile, for example, or Diablo 4, these games don't have great stories. They don't have great characters. They don't really have great writing. The main point of these games, 90 to 95% of the enjoyment of these games, are the entire aspect of building your character and building your class to be the most overpowered as possible. And no, Dragon Age the Veilguard does not have an end game where you can really just grind out your build to be as strong as possible and keep going and keep blasting. It doesn't have that. I don't think it's anywhere close to an ARPG in that aspect, but in terms of what I find fun and what I think this game does well, I think you can enjoy this game for that, even if you don't enjoy the other aspects of the role-playing experience. Thank you guys for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments if you have replayed this game, if you found your second playthrough being more enjoyable even than your first one like I did. And that's not to say everyone has to like this game. I completely understand, and I think there's valid reasons why people don't. I just happen to be someone who enjoyed the game, replayed it, and even found more enjoyment on my second time playing it. Like the video if you liked the video, and subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!